Welcome back to my channel for another episode of What's New with Human Design, which is my weekly transit report. Today is December 20th, 2021, and the sun has moved into the gate 10 and the earth has moved into the gate 15. This is a really beautiful configuration when we know how to utilize it in the highest possible way. You can see here from this image that both of these gates are on the G center. The G center is what we typically think of as the heart center. The heart in human design is both the G center and the will center. And those two are the heart energy as we typically think of it. But the G center is the center for love and lovability and identity, who we think we are, our self-concept, and direction, our direction in life. So it's a very important center for us to understand and to know how to utilize. Let's talk a little bit about the circuitry that's happening, because if you look at what's still happening in general in the chart, you'll see there's a lot of individual circuitry still happening. Now, the gate 10 is interesting because it has more than one circuit moving through it. It's all individual circuitry, but it has the centering circuit and it also has the integration circuit. So it's a very complex wiring that's happening there in that gate 10. Let's remember that individual circuitry is here to be different. It's here to bring change. It is the evolutionary impulse of humanity. It is the place where we bring in mutations or new ideas, new forms, new perspectives, new possibilities. And we still have that 6124 being lit up by the outer planets here. So that knowing circuit is still happening, and the individual circuitry is very strong overall in the chart this week. The gate 10 is a beautiful and complex gate. In both traditional human design and quantum human design, it's known as self-love or love of the self. It is so much about our relationship with ourselves. My relationship with me, your relationship with you. And you can tell this is individual energy, right? It's how we relate to our own selves individually. And self-love, I've always said self-love is the final frontier. We can learn to love other people. We can learn to forgive other people. But when it comes to ourselves, we are often the harshest on ourselves. We will say things in our minds that we would never allow other people to say to us. This is a big part of our evolution right now, is to learn how to really lean into self-love. And this is not narcissism. This is not selfishness in a negative way. It's a recognition that each one of us is a unique expression of pure life force energy, of the creative intelligence of the universe. And we get to experience that incredible intelligence through this form, through this life. I believe that we've done this many times and we've reincarnated many times. So it's not that we only get to do it once. But if we even just stick with this particular incarnation, this is a miraculous form that will never be recreated in the same way and has never been created before in this same way. Same with our life experience and our sensibilities and our human design charts. All of it, we are unique. And doesn't make us special in that we're better than other people, but it does make us special in that there's just one of us. And if you think about that for a minute, to be a unique expression of God, it's a potent thing. I think sometimes that it's almost too potent for us to take in, which is part of the reason that we push it away. And we have this idea like, what, who, me? Me, an expression of God? Me, an expression of the universe? It seems like a lot. And certainly many of us have religious traditions that we were brought up in or that are part of our lineage that don't really agree with that or don't see things that way and are much more focused on more tribal energy and not so much on the individual. But here, this is really our own relationship with self, and this is individual energy. And to be able to truly embrace the miraculousness and the magnificence of who you are is something that will set you free from so many different aspects of social conditioning, whether it came in your family or in your schooling or the community you grew up in or the jobs that you've been in. And when you can really deeply appreciate yourself and deeply love yourself, you have a core strength that allows you to operate very, very differently in the world than if your inner critic is in there beating up on you all the time and you're believing that and you're allowing a sense of unworthiness to take over. That's going to really disrupt your ability to feel confident and comfortable and safe in the world, to be able to move through the world, to be able to relate to other people, to be engaged in the projects and the things that you care about. When you can come from that stable base of a sense of self-love, everything in your life really changes. This has been a lifelong journey for me, and I continue to work with it. So I'm not saying that it's necessarily the easiest thing in the world to do, because I believe virtually all of us have been conditioned away from this and have conditioned to believe that self-love is narcissism. But narcissism is not true self-love either, because narcissism is a dysfunction, okay? It's an inability to be able to understand or relate to other people. And it's based in control. Anything based in control is going to be based in fear. So none of that is the highest expression, right, of certainly of self-love. And so it's not at all narcissism. It's very much just an appreciation of who you are, of what you've been through, of what you've learned, of what you've created in your life, of the love that you've shared and the love that you've received. All of these things are part. All of these things can contribute to your sense of self-love. Now, the tricky part with the gate 10 is it's also known as the blame gate. I think this begins when we are blaming ourselves, that kind of criticism that I was talking about, right? Or we're running ourselves down, because we didn't show up, the best way in that situation, or we weren't received, so we must have done something wrong, or we question our worthiness. And we just beat up on ourselves in all kinds of different ways. We find ourselves to be at fault. I know this happens a lot for us when we're really little people, because if our parents are doing something wonky, and as a parent, I can say all parents do wonky things, but the little ones usually decide that there's something wrong with them that made the parents be wonky. It's just how the little minds are working. It's not true. And yet some of us carry that programming forward all the way into current time. And it's just a program that keeps running. That's like, my parents were like that because I did something wrong, or something wrong was wrong with me, or I wasn't smart enough, or I wasn't pretty enough, or I wasn't agile enough, or I wasn't social enough, or I wasn't quiet enough, or whatever it was that we decided at some point. And that feeds this inner blame. Then because that is so painful, sometimes what we do is project that blame outward onto other people so that we don't have to feel the pain of that much self-judgment. So we start to blame other people for things that we don't think are right, or what we want in our lives. Not good, right? Really hard on our relationships, and also is out of integrity with a deeper truth that we could get to if we could step out of this blame game. The other thing that can happen is you can attract blame. If you're in a deep state of blame, either of yourself or other people, or both, because very often it's both, then you attract blame from other people. And unfortunately, in the kind of legal-based society, certainly that we have here in the United States, and I think is largely true in Western culture, blame is part of how we understand how the world works, right? This is what, lawsuits are about, is somebody is to blame for what happened, and you can go and sue for damages, right? Or someone is to blame for some kind of a crime, and so that person's going to go to jail. blame, right? Blame, judgment. Now, I'm not saying that there isn't any situation in which there are things that happen that are not okay, that we as a society or in our communities need to address and deal with. But the habit of blame and the belief that that's kind of the fundamental way that we interact with people that we're not getting along with, I think that's a problem. I don't think it's going to get us into the new world that we really want to be, that we really want to be in. The best antidote I know when you either realize you're blaming yourself or you're blaming somebody else or you're receiving blame from others is to do some self-love practices. Now, the very best resource I know is Madly in Love with Me, which is written by my friend Christina Rilo. I recommend this book to people all the time. It's great. It's a wonderful unpacking of all of the different ways of thinking about self-love, and it's full of exercises. So if you know you would like some extra support with that, go and give yourself this gift, because I think you'll really benefit from it. So that's where the sun is right now. Now the Earth is in the gate 15, which is also on the G center, and it's in traditional human design known as the love of humanity, and in quantum human design as compassion, which you can see the relationship between love of humanity and compassion. Absolutely. This is a really beautiful energy that is also connected to the natural world, because the channel that it's a part of has to do with the order and the cycles and the seasons of the natural world. And so part of it is in our compassion and our love for humanity is really the love for all that is. It's for all of our world as well as for humanity. And when the Earth is here, it invites us to really ground ourselves in this sense of compassion. Now, you can see how grounding ourselves in compassion would make stepping out of that blame game of the gate 10 much easier. Bringing compassion into our relationship with ourselves first. That creates this foundation, right? It creates our groundedness in this sense of this heartfelt love that is, it's not romantic love, it's forgiving love, it's understanding love, it's empathetic, right? It's really a place of, I get it, I got you, I get it, I've had it too, we've been here together, we've been here, all of us here on the planet have had these challenges, and let's just open our hearts and hold a space for that. That's our compassion. These are both beautiful energies to take into whatever you might do for the solstice tomorrow. I encourage you to do that. It's one of our superpowered days of the year. And you can look at how have been the ways that maybe you have been harsh to yourself and forgive yourself for that. And then, write it on a piece of paper and burn it, whether it's just with a candle or it's with a fire, however you do that. So to be able to let go of the ways that you have blamed yourself, the ways you have blamed other people, the ways you've attracted blame from others, and you can let that go and allow the compassion of your heart to really expand, to hold yourself, and then to expand out to the people in your lives and really to all of the world. It's a beautiful thing to do for this holiday of the solstice. Then, of course, Christmas is coming up on Saturday. We're going to have another transit for that. But I just want to say, this time of year, many people are going into being with their families again. And one of the things that can happen when you go to see your family and maybe you haven't seen them for a couple of years because of COVID, but even if you have, there's something called the family energy field that has its own consciousness and its own integrity. And this is why you can be 40 years old and go into the family energy field and you're 16 again or 12 again or whatever it is. And the other people in your life can be seeing you at this age. And it's really kind of dissonant because you're like, I'm not that person at all anymore. And yet there's something that happens in that family energy field. So one of the best things I can say to help you step out of maybe how people see you at a different age, different stage of development, or how you might be seeing other people, whether that's your parents or siblings or kids, whoever it is, to step into more compassion from a place of where you're really loving and having compassion for yourself, but then also having a lot of compassion for them. Because we're all doing the best that we can, and we're all imperfectly perfect. And sometimes when we all get together, there's a lot of expectation about all the good things that are supposed to happen and all the love that we're going to feel and all the excitement that we have. And sometimes it doesn't just work out that way. Sometimes there's conflict, or there's disconnect, or, there's reordering that has to happen. And the more that you can open your heart with that compassion, the easier it's going to be for everybody to reorganize itself inside of that field of compassion. So that's my suggestion of what you do going into this holiday season. Then on Saturday, on Christmas Day, December 25th, the sun is going to move into the gate of joy. So in traditional human design, it's just known as the gate of joy. And in quantum human design, it's the joy of mastery. I think that Karen Curry Parker, when she renamed it the Joy of Mastery, she wanted to emphasize that this does have to do with this sense of delight that comes from being able to create and to build. The 58 is in the logic or the pattern circuit. So part of it is the joy that we experience when we see a pattern, and the gate 18, which is the mate of the 58, helps us to realign the pattern, right? If we see issues in the pattern, we can realign it so that things are in a better state of order, right? But I also just want to say it's Christmas time, and for a lot of people, being able to just step into more joy is an awesome thing. So I suggest that you do that. And even if, like I was just talking about with the family energy field, there's some wonky things going on, just still go into that compassion and then fuel your joy with that compassion that you've been building all week. Another support for you is going to be the earth that's in the gate 52. And the 52 is stillness. Stillness in traditional human design, or perspective in quantum human design. I really think of this as an energy of pause. It's like, let's just take a pause. Our lives are so busy. They are so full. We have got so many demands and so many responsibilities and so many obligations. It's good to just be able to press the pause button and to be still and to gain some perspective that we only get when we step out of the busyness and we allow ourselves to settle into a different state of consciousness that comes from stillness, and that then gives us much more perspective. So this is our foundation starting on Christmas Day and going through Wednesday of the following week. I encourage you to tap into that stillness, whether that's you want to go into meditation and just have some literal physical stillness, which I highly recommend, always a good thing to do every morning anyway, and just have that sense of settledness and calm before you go into the joy, right? Or if you go into the joy and it gets to be a little bit much, because sometimes people can get oversaturated at Christmas time too, because there's just so much happening, then to find a way to go and just have some stillness, even if you just go and sit, on your own for 15 minutes, or if you're able, depending on what your environment is like, go outside, just kind of have an inner stillness for a little while. The natural world can give you that inner stillness as well. This is in the sensing circuit, and the sensing circuit is right-brained, it's abstract, it's spatial, it's embodied, and so this is not a left-brain analytical kind of thing. The 58 is in the logic circuit or in the pattern circuit, although it's not particularly analytical, it's celebratory. But this one is really quite different. And so you can see how going into that state of stillness sometimes allows you to access this sense of space and allows you to expand, which is ideally what happens when we do go into meditation. We move out of our thinking brain, we move into another part of our brain, we move into another part of our being, and then we can have that sense that enables us to tap into and work inside of the unified field or the cosmic field. And so that's available to you too. So if you, whatever you do on Christmas Day, if you know that that is available to you and that that can also be something that helps you to experience your joy, they're not actually in contradiction. They support each other. We'll still have quite a bit of individual circuitry defined starting on the 25th, and we don't have a lot of tribal circuitry, which is a little bit ironic because a lot of times celebrations around Christmas are very tribal, right? It's family, it's extended family, it's maybe a few families together. And so that means that it's open for you to get to create what you want in terms of the family relationships. It's not going to be set and fixed because it's not defined in the chart. Now, of course, individuals have their own tribal circuitry and they're going to have their own definition that is relatively fixed for them. But just in terms of the chart for everyone, it's an open slate. So I invite you to create your tribal relationships the way that you truly want them during this time of holiday celebrations. I also want to let you know about 2 ebooks that I just finished they're free. They're a gift from me. The really full color one is called Getting Started with Human Design, and it's about 30 pages, full color pages, and it helps you to orient to the different parts of the chart, understand where the parts of the chart came from, and to step into a couple of things that will help you interpret it for your own chart. In addition to that, I created a reflection journal, which will guide you through a series of questions that will help you to take in what you've learned from looking through that main ebook, but then also to explore, what does human design mean for you? Why are you interested in it? And what do you think it might do for you? So these are gifts for you. I will soon be doing a video that'll walk you through that, but that's not done yet. I'm going to put the link right here below where you can get it, and also I'll put it in the description. And this is just my gift to you. I hope that you'll get it. Please do, if you want other people to have it, please do register them rather than just giving away the ebooks. I do appreciate you, honoring the amount of time and energy that it took me to create these. But they are my gifts, and I hope that I'll provide some clarity and some visual understanding about getting started with human design. I know a lot of times there's just a lot of words, so I always try to have visuals with mine because I think it really helps us to be able to understand what it is that we're learning. And so I invite you to go check it out. It's my gift to you. All right, many blessings, much love. Bye for now. Happy holidays.